Hi, my name is Horacio Barajas, and today I'm going to talk about A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess. The book takes place in a futuristic city where the government has strict guidelines, almost oppressing the people in the city. Our main character is called Alex, and he leads a gang which indulge themselves in life of crime. They commit robberies, fights, muggings, and assault women. One day, Alex and his gang break into a house and attack a couple and sexually assault them. Later, they go rob another house, but the homeowner calls the police. While they are robbing this place, they have a discussion of classical music, which leads to Alex and one of his members having a dispute. Uh, when when they realize the police are going, they run away, but Alex starts to argue with them again because one of their friends didn't really like classical music, which Alex in the book and in the movie as well is a big fan of. This leads to tension between the two, causing them to fight. And in the book, it says that Alex gets hit with a key, I believe. But in the movie here, he gets hit with a glass jar of milk because in the movie, they like to hang in the club where they drink a lot of milk laced with drugs. And Alex gets hit in the face, obviously here as we see, and he gets left there all alone by his gang, and he is the only one caught and is sentenced to 15 years in prison because later on in the prison they tell him that the lady he had sexually assaulted had died. Years go by and the officers see that Alex has taken a liking to the Bible, and we see like the officer really tells him to enjoy the Bible because Alex was in indulged in a life of crime. Really, that's a lot of most of the things he did out of his own time. And later on, we see a fight breaks out, and Alex tries to separate him, and the warden and the officers take notice of this, and which leads to the doctors doing an experiment on him, as we see here in the movie and in the book as well. The whole purpose of this experiment is to get Alex rid of the violent tendencies and get rid of the things he likes. They inject him with I don't think they say with what, but this leads to him to have nausea throughout the course of the injection flowing through his body. And while he's being injected, he is being shown violent movies and he hears classical music. And while he sees the movie and hears classical music, which he enjoys, it leads him to have nausea due to the injection. The whole purpose of this is for him to see the wrongdoing of violence. So every time he will think of a violent crime or have tendencies of violence, he's gonna have nausea due to the effects of the injection. As a couple of weeks go by, the doctors see that the experiment went well, which leads to them doing a full research on more prisoners. And 2 years or I think 3 years pass, and Alex gets released from prison because he did well in the experiment. As he gets released from jail, he tries to make amends with the people he has caused harm to. And the moment he steps out of jail, he stumbles upon his two friends who left him. But uh, unlucky for him, his both of his friends are no, are police officers, and they won't forget what Alex did to them, which causes them to beat him up, and leave him in a farm all by himself, all bloody, and Alex can't defend himself because obviously if he tends to violent crimes, the headaches and the nausea are going to start because of the experiment. This leads to Alex running after being beat up. He runs away and knocks into the first house he sees. But the first house he sees is the house he broke into, and the house he broke into where the lady he assaulted died. But the homeowner, which is her husband, does not recognize Alex because when he committed the crime, he had a mask on. But as the night goes, Alex talks about how he isn't a new man, how the experiment changed him, and since the owner of the house is now a politician, he wants to use Alex for political gain. But Alex is tired of being used, which leads to him to cry in an outburst and start using slang that they used when they attacked him, which causes the owner to recognize him. And then afterwards, after recognizing what Alex did, he leaves him in a room and locks him in a room and plays classical music, leading to Alex having major headaches. Um, because due to the experiment, and the whole purpose of this was for the homeowner to make Alex commit suicide. Alex does jump off the window, but he survives. And when he is in the hospital, the doctors revert the experiment, causing him to again not he doesn't have headaches or nausea when he is in a life of violence. And after the experiment, they undo the experiment. He leaves the hospital. He makes a new gang and is again in the cycle of violence. But after time goes, he's tired. He's bored of the violent life, and he stumbles upon an old friend of his from a gang member of his, and he sees how much of a normal life he has, and Alex now dreams of having a normal life as he well in the book. That is the ending. In the movie, after Alex jumps off, they just show him reverting back to his violent tendencies, and that's pretty much it. They don't show him meeting his friend. They just show him getting out of the no being in the hospital, reverting back to having a dream about violent tendencies. So now I'm going to talk about the connection to the real world. In the book, we see how um the city that Alex lives in is very heavily governed, not powered by the government, and we see how Alex revolts or doesn't really abide by the rules, causing him to be in a gang. In today's age, we see how teenagers who have nowhere to go or want to revolt against maybe their parents or somebody in power, they sadly sometimes go into a life of violence. This leads to sometimes the youth or teenagers to join a gang and have a life of crime and danger, as we see in the book. This is a quote from the Functional Family Therapy regarding youths and gangs. The Juvenile Justice Bulletin says a survey of nearly 6,000 eighth graders conducted in 11 cities with known gang problems found that 9% were currently gang members, and that 17% said they had belonged to a gang at some point in their lives. And also it was reported that in the year 2010, about 1 million youth gang members were involved from the age of 5 and 17. This around the age that Alex is in the beginning of the book. I believe he's 16 or to 18. I don't think the age is really disclosed, but we see how in the real world people who are probably live in a strict, probably a city, tend to go and participate in gang violence, as we see now. The youth really tends to see this. It's really sad to know that the youth gets involved in gangs because they see there's no other escape, and the only way to revolt is through gang violence, which we see in the book. And and also we see how the government is really involved in the book because um, um they really take control over the city. And we see how in the gang members in today's age, mostly where the gang related violence is in places like here in the United States, where the government really does. There's a lot of rules, strict rules, and sometimes they don't want to help these poor cities, which leads to the youth joining the gangs because they don't see any other way for them to get help. And and that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.